Hi everyone, I hope you're all enjoying your weekend. Today is Saturday, April 22nd, 2023. Today I was going through old newspaper prints and I found an article about the earthquake, the magnitude 8.0 earthquake that happened in 1931. Oaxaca, majority of the people left the city of Oaxaca, and those that remained were able to buy up most of the land because it was largely abandoned because of all the destruction. Many of you know that the larger the earthquake, the longer it's going to shake. You're going to shake about 3 feet in every direction for every second. So if you count 1001, you're shook 3 feet in one direction, and then you're shook 3 feet in the other direction. And this earthquake was reportedly felt for about 4 minutes, and there was a fellow there from one of the railroads during the time of that earthquake. Here it says, 4-minute Mexican quake seemed years to the DC man. 4 minutes that seemed as many hours, as the earth trembled and heaved, rocking huge buildings like toy structures. Were described in his safety of his Washington office yesterday by Eugene R. Woodson, Secretary of the Railroad Accounting Office Association, first Vice President of the Kiwanis Club of Washington, upon his return from Mexico City, where he lived ages in 4 short minutes, to use his own words, as the earthquake shook the city last week. Mexicans display calmness, although we usually think of the Mexican as the demonstrative race, Mr. Woodson said. The calmness outwardly displayed by the terror-stricken people during the catastrophe readily disproved the conclusion. The natives left the building, which might have at any time toppled on them, and sought the open spaces, the parks of the city. There they knelt in prayer for the salvation of themselves and their city. Telling his version of the quake, Mr. Woodson said, "We were in a conference in an office building when the quake started. All but 2 of us in the room were Mexican railway executives and officials. The first indication we had was the swinging of the huge chandelier suspended above the conference table around which we sat. The chandelier swung violently, and one of the men in the conference, saying not a word, pointed to it. The man speaking stopped, sat down, and around the table absolute silence reigned for the duration of the quake. A large picture on the wall of the room started to scrape along the wall, then swung outward. The 25 or 30 men in the conference sat still, watching it. Then the lights were turned off as a safety measure, and we sat silent in the darkness. They told us after it was all over that disturbance, which was even more terrific in other parts of the country, and had lasted for about 4 minutes. It seemed to me like many hours." The other Americans referred to by Mr. Woodson as one of those at the conference was G.J. Bunting, Chicago Vice President of the Illinois Central Railroad and the President of the Railway Accounting Officers Association. There was a filmmaker there at the time of the earthquake, Sergei Eisenstein. He was in Oaxaca at the time of the earthquake. Now, supposedly the film that he took of the aftermath, that has been lost, but there is some images here. It is said that over 10,000 people were killed. Most of them were brick and stone and adobe. We got another image here. I think that's the one where he had a picture of the police, federales, I guess they call them, clearing away the rubble, looking for survivors. And there's one kneeling, crying maybe praying. And another image. As a result of that earthquake, like I said, many of the citizens, the Oaxacans, they moved out. They left. Never came back. Here on Wikipedia it says many people abandoned the city of Oaxaca after the earthquake, and low property prices meant that a small number of families were able to gain ownership of most of the city. There was also a magnitude 7.5 earthquake on September 30th of 1999, and it was close to the 1931 earthquake. The Wikipedia page of Oaxaca has no reference whatsoever to that earthquake. Here's another article I found. This is from the Oakland Tribune, dated January 20th, 1931. Oaxaca, capital of the state of that name and one of the oldest and most important Mexican cities, is likely to become a deserted town as the result of the devastating wrought by the series of earthquake shocks in the vicinity since January 14th. The city is practically in ruins, and it's not probable it will be rebuilt, for the terrified residents of the town are fleeing daily to neighboring locations outside the quake zone. The exodus is also being hastened by fear of the outbreak of an epidemic such as cholera as a result of the destruction of sanitation facilities. I haven't been able to find who the families were that remained and ended up buying up most of the land and what became of them or any of that detail. But those of you that follow me, you'll remember the article I did about when the West Coast becomes toast, when they have that great earthquake along the Cascadia Subduction zone. Probably the same thing will happen there. There'll be a great exodus of the West Coast going to other locations. One, because the infrastructure is going to take decades probably to rebuild there. Another article, here it says that in a radio message, the governor of Oaxaca states that it is impossible to describe the panic and the confusion there. Now you have to remember this is during the Depression also. Loans to merchants and inhabitants generally are incalculable. The governor said his house is wrecked and he is living in his motor car. The city is almost totally destroyed and many bodies are being found in the rooms that are searched. Telegraph lines are down all over the province and full details are not yet available. Relief methods have been ordered by the government. Trains and motor vehicles carrying food and other necessities are hastening to the stricken districts. And at that time, it had a population of 35,000 people. And in one article, it said that there was probably about 10,000 people that were killed, even though at first, they were saying like 71, and here it says 31, and Then there was the outbreak of different diseases because of the lack of sanitation. I think it would be a good example of what to expect when they do have that earthquake along the Cascadia Subduction zone. And just like in Oaxaca, someone will come in and buy up all the property, pennies on the dollar. So what are your thoughts? Put your comments down below. Thank you very much for watching. I gotta get a new mouse. Thank you for your support. I'm also on Patreon if you wish to support my work. And I'm also on Twitter. And I have a PayPal account. And for those of you that have supported my work, you know who you are. Thank you so much. I got a person there in Washington State that I often write to. And as always be prepared for a disaster. Please stay safe, and I will talk to you later. God bless you. Bye.